further ado, I would like to introduce you all to the first topic of the session today, which it is systems approach. Last year, the International Plant Protection Convention has released for country consultation a draft specification of Annex that will be implemented on the CPM38. This document calls Annex 1, Design and Use of Systems Approach for Phytosanitary Certification of Seeds. The current phytosanitary landscape is creating numerous challenges and unpredictable environment for the seed industry, but also for other industries. To expand more on this topic and to provide you all with the relevance of the adoption of systems approach for the seed industry, I would like to invite you, the chair of the ISF Systems Approach Working Group and Global Manager of Industry Affairs for BASF, Mrs. Merel Langens. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Rose. I will share my screen. Presentation mode. Okay, can you see the first slide at this moment?
Yes, we can, Merel.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody, and thank you, Rose, for your kind introduction. I will indeed talk about systems approach today, and it's indeed one of the topics that is in discussion in IPPC. I'll talk shortly about why we work on systems approach, assuming that many of you have already heard about this initiative in earlier meetings of ISF and earlier briefings. I'll talk a bit about our outreach activities, the interactions with IPPC, and about some of the key topics we are working on. And finally, in the last slide, I'll give an outlook on future actions. Okay, this slide shows why there is a working group in ISF working on systems approach. Like Rose also already said, there are some serious challenges in the current seed trade. And basically those challenges can be summarized in 2 words: increasing complexity. Increasing complexity because more and more specific pest requirements in different countries. These requirements are not necessarily harmonized between countries. Requirements can change quickly. They are not always for pests that are associated with seed as a pathway. Re-export, that makes it necessary to fulfill all the practices of all the requirements of the countries in the chain, becomes more and more challenging. And the movement of small seed lots, the research lots and the seed lots for breeding purposes is also becoming increasingly difficult because of this web, more and more complicated web of requirements that have to be fulfilled. The idea behind systems approach is that companies may become certified based on the pest risk management options that they have in place, based on their systems. And the certified companies, they produce systems approach seed. And the idea is that this seed can move easily between all the countries that have accepted systems approach, so that recognize this certification system. One of the consequences that we have in mind is that the phytosanitary certificates for these countries do not need to contain any additional declarations anymore. Well, basically there could be one additional declaration, and here you see as an example a declaration produced under systems approach. And this statement would then certify that all the requirements, all the needs of the countries that recognize systems approach are fulfilled. We don't mean to develop systems approach as a replacement of the current system for import and export of seeds, but it's really an alternative option for countries to participate. How do we approach this? Because it's a big undertaking. It's about global acceptance. And well, as you know, for global acceptance, support of IPPC is essential. And that's why we try and work as much as possible with IPPC. And Rose already told there is a proposal, a specification has been accepted, meaning that there will be an IPPC expert working group working on this annex in which it will be described how systems approach could be implemented, and ISF may have a seat in that group. And what have we done as industry for this? We have supported the development of the proposal. Further discussions with IPPC are in preparation. and we're preparing the industry viewpoints on the tasks that are described in the specification, the tasks for the IPPC expert working group. Another important part of our approach is to start small and work from success. We've started the conversations with a limited number of countries. You can see the countries which they are in the slide, with the idea that once we can work out this idea with a small number of countries, it can then later be accepted and implemented in a larger number of countries. And in our discussions with NPPOs, the NPPO experts, they indicated that they would really like to see an industry vision on systems approach. So how do we as industry, because it's a complicated concept to work out, a lot of things to think about. And so they requested to work out this industry vision on systems approach. And well, as an industry, we've been working on that, organized several workshops. There is an industry brief available now in which the industry point of view on how systems approach could work is described. It's currently an internal industry document that I highly recommend to all industry participants that are present in the call to have a look at, to get more background information about systems approach. And using this document, we will provide more information and develop more information to support discussions with IPPC. So that's a bit about the actions and the outreach that we have been doing. Now a bit more about the content of systems approaches. What does it really mean? And in this slide, you see a list of essential elements, at least from an industry point of view, for the system. As I said, the system should be in line with the IPPC standards, otherwise globally acceptance will be difficult. It's an alternative, it's not a replacement of the current system. It's based on certification of companies, meaning that this is about quality management systems, audit systems that should all be organized. We strive for global harmonization via multilateral agreements, which could be challenging because the current way of working in IPPC is via bilateral agreements. So maybe we have to end up in acceptance of multiple harmonized bilateral agreements. System should be risk-based, data-driven. For small and large companies, it should accommodate the needs of the different crops. And we also propose that current practices that the industry has in place for hygiene management, for preventing or to mitigate the risks of pests entering the seed production will also be incorporated in a systems approach. Because seed companies already have many procedures in place to basically to prevent the infection and infestation of seeds with seed-transmitted pests, and implementation of the systems approach will leverage these current industry practices. And of course, also the system is supposed to be non-competitive. Then two topics that will be challenging. I've talked a bit about this one already, multilateral acceptance. It's essential for systems approach to work because the pest management options that are applied in the country of origin, in the country of seed production, should be acceptable to multiple MPPOs. And we've been thinking about how does this look, this multilateral acceptance? What is it that is multilaterally accepted? And in the end, it will be promoted by clarity about the content of the system beforehand. And we think if there could be agreement about the pests in scope, about what are the relevant seed-transmitted pests in scope, and if we agree about how do these pests enter the seed production, how do they spread in the seed production, based on this risk assessment, the pathway analysis, there could be agreement about a list of pest management options for specific crops per phase of a seed production. So by agreeing beforehand about the starting points, you could probably more easily come to a multilaterally accepted system. But this will require some further discussions with MPPOs. Building trust is also an important topic. It's also important for, there should be trust between MPPOs and industry to make this system work. On one hand, this trust can be built by the transparency from the side of the industry, about the pest management options that are currently in use. Another topic that's important for trust is that NPPOs indicated when we had the talks with them that increased transparency of the seed industry is desirable. And this is, of course, a sensitive topic where trust is really needed. Because on one hand, there's limited trust that seed companies inform NPPOs about risks that they are aware of, like emerging pests or outbreaks. And on the other hand, likewise, there is limited trust with the seed companies about risk evaluation by NPPOs. Rumors about new findings may lead to phytosanitary and trade barrier measures. A possible solution could be to describe a process to report on emerging pests and outbreaks, and also to clarify the collaboration between the seed sector and NPPOs on defining response measures. Some thoughts about the structure of the Annex. You see here the ISBN 38 and the Annex. The Annex will not be a detailed document, but it will describe the framework, like what are the elements that should be in the quality management system? What is this procedure for reporting of pests? How does this guidance on pathway analysis work? What are the audits? What are the certification? And a topic that we are developing thoughts about is, should there be appendices to the Annex in which the pathway analysis and the specific pest management options per crop are described? Thoughts in development. Finally, an outlook on what we want to do in the near future. We want to do a pilot with 4 countries. And in this pilot, we want to trial the ideas that we have developed so far, in collaboration, of course, with NPPOs. The complete pathway from production to processing to commercial planting. And with the output of that pilot, we will bring that information to IPPC to support the discussions. And hopefully we can show that a multilaterally accepted systems approach is possible with a small group of countries as a start. Here you see which countries have agreed to participate: Chile, country of production; countries of re-export, Netherlands and USA; and country of sales, Australia. We'll work on cucumber, start with bilateral meetings with the NPPOs, then have a meeting with the whole group, first agree about the process on paper, and finally, hopefully we can also do actual shipments of seeds. And this is all things that we want to do in the near future. And with that, I want to end my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.